I'm sure you're all asking, or going to ask what I'm doing today. Well, today I'm here on my own at the house of a friend, doing a little bit of work, which means I will be not looking at the camera very much and probably not talking. I say work, it's work in inverted commas. It's something that I am choosing to do, partly because in theory it helps her a little bit, but I think it's not really that important. I like to feel I'm giving something back. So although this isn't necessary, it helps me feel better. And just for your information, she has a lot of business cards that are blank on one side because I think there's some error with the printing, and so they gave them to her free. And she has a lot of labels printed up. Sticky labels which have her excellent hand-drawn business card on the back on them. So the one-sided business cards I have become two-sided, and it saves a lot of money. But it's quite time-consuming. There are literally hundreds of them. Don't know how many labels she said printed up. 1,200 labels. So there must be around that sort of number of cards to do. But I'm not doing them. I would happily do them all, but since she is paranoid about having to move and change her address, I'm not doing them. Only about a third, which should be 400. I wonder how long that'll take me. So it's not strictly necessary. We could get by without it being done. But as I say, I like to feel I'm giving something back because she does so much for me. And never asks for anything in return. I'm a bit quiet because the landlord or lady has just come back with her dogs, and I'm afraid she'll drop in and see what I'm doing. So for the moment at least I shall be somewhat subdued. I think she's gone. She's just got back from walking her dogs. No, another reason, significant reason for doing this, is that, quite frankly, it gets me out of the house. This is Monday, and Monday is normally the day when my wife goes and does music in a local city. I say local, it's not that local. But the term has come to an end. And I would normally spend that day when she's doing music here, ostensibly helping, hopefully not getting in the way, and generally having a good time. But the term has ended, so my wife is at home, and my friend is on holiday, so she isn't here to help. So I've arranged or negotiated to come here and do a bit of help. But really just to get out of the way of my wife and to get somewhere which is a little more comfortable and relaxing than home. Also gives me the opportunity to have some very beneficial tea. It's a species of herbal tea. I would like to drink a lot, but I'm having a fairly subdued portion of tea today because I do feel slightly uneasy that I'm trespassing here because I'm here on my own without my friend being here and with no obvious justification. I have stayed here before for a week or longer on my own when she's been away with the excuse of looking after a chicken that was sick in her house. I didn't mean it was sick in her house, vomiting, because chickens don't do that, do they? Unless they're crop bound or something. But she had a chicken that was poorly in her house and it needed to be taken outside every day, fed, and somebody needed to clean up the shit after it. So I felt I had a justification for being here and was comfortable making myself free with the garden. I don't feel I have that justification today. But the landlord and landlady are very good at leaving me alone and don't appear to be over judgmental. So although they are not my type of people, who is my type of person? That I cannot answer. Although they're not my sort of person, and I'm certainly not theirs, I do find them not a problem, too much of a problem to be around, compared to the neighbours at home. So I'm here to avoid my wife and avoid the neighbours at home. Selfish reasons, and help a friend out. Non-selfish, but slightly spurious reason. And here I go, I've been talking for 7 minutes and I said, fuck all. I'm here to escape, doing something that doesn't need to be done. If I were a different person, I'd probably take a blanket, go out in the field and take my clothes off. But I'm not, so I won't. I reserve that when she's here. Oh, I better slow down a bit. I'll get these on far too quickly if I'm not careful. Of course, because I'm working to my own agenda, I don't have to be working when I'm doing this. I can just talk to you. Talk to you, talk to myself. Let's get that right. It's hot, it's been hot for several weeks. Not as hot as people are fretting about it being. I'm enjoying it when I'm not working. And I've spent quite a lot of time, quite a lot, it's all relative, isn't it? A bit of time outside, unclad, which I really enjoy if I can feel safe. And there's been some here with my friend. Well, mostly here. I managed a little time at home last week when I was alone. Last weekend, when my wife was out. It's not really her thing. Until I had to give up because of the horseflies. The music is one that my friend recorded in a church using a harmonium and myself very inexpertly accompanying on a pseudo drum, which I think slowed her down and hampered her. But it is a recording that I enjoy very much because I enjoyed making it. And it was an extremely good time that I was going through. Going through sounds like an ordeal. I've really been experiencing. I think the domestic relations are reaching a crisis point, and I really don't know what's going to happen. I feel I'm being dishonest by staying there, dishonest and parasitic. And I tell myself that it is to avoid causing my wife hurt, but it is causing her hurt, my being there as I am. I might have said this before, my alternatives are limited. Because I have no money that is specifically my own. And the business, the joint, or my wife's business, with which I work, has been subsidised for quite a time now with her money, which is her inheritance. So I have been indirectly living on her inheritance. And I feel bad about this. I've always felt bad about this. But briefly, and not wanting to go into this in any more details than is necessary, I am to a certain extent trapped. I've probably said this before in a video that I have no income of my own, no job outside the joint business, no home other than the family home, which is, I've always felt, and this has always very much been the case, that it is hers. Again, I've said this before, it's not a house that I wanted to buy. I did caution against buying it because we have this deeply toxic neighbour. But she insisted, and at the end of the day it was her money, although we both paid off the mortgage. Some solids in the tea. Well, that was heavy going. So I feel I'm stuck. The decent thing would be to leave, move out. Where do I go? My friend did offer me the opportunity of staying here for a while I found somewhere. So I'm waiting for an email from someone. That's very rude of me. I don't think I'm going to get it. But the offer to stay here was when we were getting on, myself and my friend were getting on much better than we are now. And we weren't having she wasn't having these lapses into what she calls a repulsion, which is a hostility towards me. I have no doubt she would renew the offer, but I would find it harder to accept than just staying for a few days. And it would only postpone the problem. Our problem, I would still have to find somewhere to live. whilst having no money and no means of support. Get a job, I hear you say. Get a job doing what? I have spent most of the last 30 years either working for myself in either here with my wife or on my own. And when I haven't been working for myself, for the last, extending this to take in 40 years, when I've worked for other people, I've mostly had an extraordinary degree of autonomy, and I've been able to work as if I were working for myself without certain responsibilities. So it was like working for myself but getting a regular wage for 2 companies, 3 companies. So I was allowed to create a job for myself, which meant I had little or no supervision. And as long as the work got done, people didn't ask, people didn't query, so I had a tremendous amount of freedom. Going from that to being an employee would be difficult for me. In fact, the last job I had, I did have 8 years of this freedom, and then the factory I had, my factory, was shut, and I was moved into the main factory, which was always the plan. It was supposed to happen 6 months after I started the job, but it went on for, I say, 8 years. But the last year I spent working in the factory with the other employees, in theory, still with a high degree of autonomy, but I couldn't do it. I really couldn't. I didn't have the autonomy that I craved, that I needed. I stuck it for a year and left. I know I can't work with other people. I find it too much of a challenge, and I'm not very good at it. I'm better working on my own, although I do have problems with self-motivation at times. I'm getting distracted. So I would have to find a job. I don't have any skills that would enable me to set up and work on my own for myself, so that rules that one out. I would have to work for someone else. And what jobs are there around here for people who, like myself, have no skills and is only a couple of years off retirement? Most of the jobs are for people with skills, defined marketable skills and training, or working in, what do you call, loosely social services, which would be looking after old people, things like that. Whereas I might do hospital portering, in which I could be probably quite anonymous. I don't think I could, even if someone wanted me to do it, I don't think I could look after old people or people in care, which sounds uncaring, but I don't think I have any skills, facility or abilities that way, which effectively precludes that. So the multitude of jobs around here, the majority of jobs around here are ones from which I am disqualified, either by lack of qualifications or self-disqualified through knowledge of my own capabilities. Also, unrealistic conditions. I wouldn't want to work full time. So I need a job, I need an income, because I need to rent somewhere to live. Another thing, I've been spoiled in the last 40 years well, I say in 40 years, 20 of the years I've been living with my wife, so that doesn't count. So for half of the last 40 years, I've had houses to myself, not bed sits or room in a shared house, but houses to myself that I've often barely been able to afford. But that degree of independence and privacy is essential to me. And I look around here, and maybe I can pick up a bed sit or flat for £450 a month. But could I live there? Maybe I'm asking too much. But no, that's about as cheap as it gets. If it's something in which I felt I might be able to live. Well, when I looked earlier in the year, there were a few places around for £607 a month, £700 a month mark, which had potential, but I have to ask myself, why were they so cheap? This was detached houses in rural locations. What's wrong with them? But no, something in that sort of quality, we're looking at £1,000 upwards, and I don't have that. So what'll it be? Living in some horrible flat, claustrophobia, unable to go out, but needing to go out to earn money to pay for it. So I stay where I am. Decent thing is to get out, but how the fuck do I do it?